Now, one of the key aspects that make digital marketing somewhat different from traditional marketing is that there is a whole host of metrics that are associated with it. So one of the biggest difficulties of a lot of, for example, the promotional work in traditional media is that after, for example, you put an advertising campaign, it's very hard for you to know whether that advertising campaign worked or not, right? It's hard to have direct feedback about the impact that that campaign is having. On the other hand, in digital marketing, that is not necessarily the case. Because, for example, when you see an ad, right, online, there will be a place where you can click. And if you do so, it will, for example, take you to a landing page, right? And obviously, because it's online, there is all these digital crumbs that you're leaving along the way, and you can actually measure every single step of that transaction. Okay, so there is a whole host of metrics that are associated with digital marketing. So it's a lot about the data. What makes Google an extremely powerful company is the fact that it has trillions and trillions of terabytes of data, actually petabytes of data, of customer interactions with brands, pages, videos, etc. And you can leverage all this information to target your customers better, to create segments that actually make more sense, and make sure that any products or any promotional efforts are actually geared towards the right set of customers. Okay, so this is an extremely powerful set of tools, but they need to be baked in and built in from the beginning. So you need to decide upfront what kind of metrics are you going to be tracking, right? What are going to be your KPIs is something you're going to hear a lot about, I hope. Okay, KPI stands for key performance indicators, right? Is it going to be the number of likes? Is it going to be the number of views? Is it going to be the time that they spend on the page? Is it going to be the conversion ratio? That's the number of people that go from one page to another, for example, to a cart. Okay, what is the number of people that actually go from the cart to actually closing the transaction? You're going to be monitoring all these numbers, right? And if you're tracking the right numbers, it's going to really enable you to improve your marketing strategy dramatically. Okay, if you're interested in digital marketing, one thing that you might consider is actually getting certification for some of the tools here. For example, Google Analytics. Right? This is a whole host of analytical tools that are very powerful, that are free to use for anybody who is going to be using Google as a platform, both for advertising, tracking, and targeting. And you can actually get certified. It's a free process. It's hard to do. It requires a lot of study and work. But once you have the certification, you will have a much better chance of landing a job in digital marketing. And there are other certifications that you can gather. Obviously, that will be meaningful if you're interested in digital marketing. But I want to emphasize that it's a lot about the data. If you're good with numbers, if you like marketing, but you like this interplay between the online world and the real world, coming up with clever ways of leveraging all this data to actually do a better job at finding customers and serving those customers appropriately is what makes digital marketing so appealing. As of today, the latest data is that digital spend is now bigger than traditional marketing spend, at least in the US. Okay, so last year, we just crossed the threshold where, digital now it's bigger than traditional. So this data that you get is one of the key reasons why marketing in a digital environment now has become the mainstream. Now, a couple other terms that you should know about, right? One is crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing is using users to get some of the job done. That could be anywhere from getting referrals and good word. We've already talked about earned media, but also crowdsourcing is, for example, using the users of your product or potential users of your product to help you develop some of your marketing collateral. Right, a good example of this will be Doritos, right? Doritos, I think, started around 2011, so this is not a new story, right? But they've done a good job with it. What they do is they crowdsource the commercials and that they use, for example, for the Super Bowl. They had a contest where you could send via their YouTube platform, via their YouTube channel, a video with an idea about a commercial, and then they curated that content. They found what were the 2 or 3 best every year ideas for a commercial, and then what they did is they shot them professionally based on the idea of provided by the consumers, right? The users of the brand, the Doritos consumers, right? And it's been very successful. And this can be used for many different things. Netflix, for example, improved their recommendation engine using a crowdsourcing contest where you could make $1 million. This was about 2009, 2010, right? To improve their the algorithm. So this is a more technical crowdsourcing effort, right? And the algorithm that is used by Netflix to suggest movies, because Netflix has access to a really wide catalog of movies, right? So which ones they actually put in the screen matters, because there are so many that it's overwhelming for a user. So how they improve that interaction, right? And finally, if I haven't addressed this enough, consumer feedback is one of the gold mines of digital marketing. What makes it unique is that everybody has a voice. And because of that, they provide feedback. They provide feedback actively and passively. Sometimes they make videos, they make comments, they post tweets, right? So if you can leverage all that information, you can improve your products, you can improve your processes, and at the end of the day, you can win, right? So instead of taking all these negative comments as something bad, use them to actually improve your products, your brands, and your experiences that you're providing to users. Okay. So here you have an example of crowdsourcing, right? M&M's choosing the flavors by using feedback from consumers. So you can just put a quick, questionnaire in Facebook with all the people that are following your Facebook page and ask them what flavor would they like to see for a limited run of M&M's. And based on that, you can just make sure that that flavor actually is going to sell well because it's based on consumer feedback as opposed to making guesses, right? And see where the wind is blowing at the time. So to summarize, digital media has had a huge impact in the last few years in marketing. It's still happening. We just crossed the threshold where digital marketing is now more important, at least dollar-wise, than traditional marketing in the United States. So it's not an easy transition, but it has happened. A lot of firms are trying to figure out how to do it. It requires a lot of technical know-how, right? You need to be good at understanding how the platforms work, what is valued by customers, and how you need to interact with these customers. You can try to hide the negative comments under the table. You need to be transparent. You need to basically meet the customers where they are. You need to enable customers tools that would help you and sometimes, provide some corrective measures to make comments and provide feedback about your products, right? It might require some technical know-how, things like cookies, analytics, lots of data, somebody who can crunch numbers. They can put all that together and help you actually improve your marketing strategy. But the future is, and for sure will be, to some degree, digital.